I know you have all been enjoying all the great games that have come out the last holiday season. Personally, I've been playing a lot of Monster Hunter and Ys 8. Now yes, I am very late to both of these games, but I got a little distracted with Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, all these games really started making me think of my two favorite action RPGs, and the overall evolution of the action RPG genre as a whole. Now, just like my Witcher vs. Breath of the Wild video, we will be comparing two very similar games. Those games are Nier Automata and Darksiders 2. Now, I know Darksiders 3 just came out, but I haven't played that one, and from the overall reception, it sounds like Darksiders 2 was more well received. Now, at the core of these titles, they both play like a Devil May Cry and Bayonetta. Now, from Nier's point of view, this makes sense, considering the developers who partnered with Square in the development of this game was none other than Platinum Games. Now, Nier Automata is a perfect blend of action and RPG. The battle system feels like a combination of the slick, quick gameplay of Bayonetta and the crisp and clean action of Metal Gear Solid Rising. This game's gameplay is very deep but accessible. There aren't really any deep combos in this game, but you have a light and heavy attack and a shooting attack that's all thanks to a small little robot that accompanies you throughout your journey. Not only that, but sometimes the game turns into a 2D scrolling beat-em-up to a twin-stick shooter. But what makes this game feel really good, honestly, is the movement. The dodge button transitions into a run, and the animation is so buttery smooth, and I gotta say, it feels really good. This game is a open world type game, but don't expect the world to be like Breath of the Wild or Red Dead Redemption sized. But I can say that each environment is fleshed out and is an absolute joy to look at. And this is where the game excels at, is its ambiance. It's eerie and calm, bright and shiny, but dull at the same time. You feel an immense amount of joy playing this game. Deep down, you know there's something more going on, from the creepy robots to the strange connection between 2B and 9S. Now, Darksiders is about saving Death's brother War from the Charred Council after being blamed for bringing on the apocalypse. This game takes elements from a plethora of different games like Zelda, Devil May Cry, and Prince of Persia. This game uses an expanding skill tree and an abundance of weapons and armor, where Nier actually uses a chip system, where I actually did kill myself through this system, but it also uses a lot of different weapons, but definitely not on the level of Darksiders. Now, I'll be honest, when it comes to gameplay, I have to give this one to Nier for a few reasons. Nier's combat is quick, smooth, and you're able to zone in on an enemy quickly and get out of there just as fast. Darksiders is a little slower paced. Still doesn't mean it's bad, however I have to say the way that you fight is up to you. There are two different combat trees and it takes a lot of skill points to level up all of your skills. With this in mind, you can only really invest in one before you complete the game. So you'll either play like a summoning master or a more skilled fighter. However, Darksiders can be very slow. Death seems like he should be able to run a little bit faster than a slight jog. When he is quote-unquote running, he looks like Breath of the Wild before you even hit the sprint button. Not only that, but the missions in both games are drastically different. In Nier, you're constantly getting closer to the mystery surrounding the story, unlocking more clues as you go. And with this in mind, this really keeps you going, and it keeps you interested in the story. However, in Darksiders, it starts to drag a little because each time you're pointed in the right direction for some reason, you have to do everyone's laundry before they're willing to help you. I swear, each time you get into a new area, you need somebody's help or permission to do something, then you'll spend a considerable amount of time doing fetch quests. Darksiders is extremely padded with these types of fetch quests and it hurts the overall experience. In addition, this game is just full of bugs and glitches. Some of them were game breaking. I had a glitch that wouldn't allow me to jump at all. I had another which I was falling through some rocks and just wouldn't stop falling. And then I had one last time where I actually was just walking and fell through the entire floor, which is why I have to give gameplay to Nier. Now, I kind of touched base on this a little earlier, but Nier Automata is a game rich with mysteries, and that's what keeps you going. The unknown is what you're discovering that's exciting. Not only that, but the subquests are incredible as well. Even though the subquests aren't generally voice acted, I have to say, through text, the dialogue was really powerful, and sometimes I'd get pretty creeped out just reading it. One subquest was concerning an android and her investigation on who killed her partner, and this was grueling and it helped me understand the end of the game and why things were happening and why things turned out the way they did. Darksiders 2 has a very cool concept. Your death trying to reclaim your brother's innocence after being blamed for bringing on the apocalypse. Now, the thing that kind of irritates me is that I get the Charred Council is strong, but they never demonstrate how strong they are. And with this in mind, their design really isn't that tough looking either, because they're just kind of a bunch of flaming stones with their mouths open. Now, remember, I haven't finished the first Darksiders yet. However, I know in this second Darksiders, the task of saving your brother is compelling enough. And due to this, we're trying to get to the Tree of Life to revive the human race. Now, the characters are fun to see and watch Death interact with them, but this game's story gets so far away from the main task, and the only thing that connects it is the fact that you're constantly reminded that your brother is being blamed for the apocalypse, and that you carry the souls of the Nephilim. The best way I can explain the story is that your dad gives you some Lakers tickets. You're super pumped for the game, but you live across the country and you have to drive 12 hours to get to the game and then actually watch the game play out. Sure, you may come across some cool landmarks, and once you get to the Lakers game, you're kind of already worn out. This is how I felt about the Darksiders story. The landmarks are interesting, and those landmarks represent the characters that you meet, because they are very, very fun to meet. But the blank space in between doing fetch quests really takes away from the value of the story. Now, when it comes to the graphics, I'm really not going to compare these two games as much, because this one's kind of a no-brainer. Nier came out in 2017 on current-gen consoles, while Darksiders came out on last-gen consoles in 2012. Nier obviously looks a lot better, but instead of comparing graphics, let's compare the atmosphere and the soundtrack, in a sense, the ambiance. Now, the soundtrack is a different story. The score for Nier is stellar, and a breath of fresh air. The game has an in-your-face, blood-pumping track for when crap hits the fan, as well as a slow, relaxing sound when exploring. Which, by the way, the environments look stellar. They're fleshed out with abandoned buildings and vines and overgrowth on them, as well as beautiful streams of water just flowing through the many different locations. Honestly, this game puts you in a dreamlike setting. It's peaceful and beautiful, but it can be eerie and disturbing at the same time. However, the same can't be said for Darksiders. The environments are a tad on the bland side, not saying that they're bad, but they're definitely not memorable. Nier had lush environments with wildlife and robots aplenty. These areas are barren compared to that, and there's very little to do, which could be the limitations of the game development during the time. However, the dungeons are very well done, I have to say. The overall maps, though, are just not memorable. But the soundtrack is actually pretty good. I wouldn't say that I remembered any of the songs, though, so I actually had to listen to it while I was writing the script for the video. However, none of the songs stuck out to me like Nier's did. Nier's gave me a sense of peace and a sense of urgency, which is why it's so memorable. Now, for the verdict. I have to say Nier is by far the better game, but that doesn't mean I didn't have a great time with Darksiders 2. Darksiders 2 is a game that really could have benefited from another year in development. It is a good game, but there's a potential for a great game in this package. I want to put this out there that I love Darksiders 2, but from a critical point of view, it can be better. Nier has so much in itself that will keep you entertained for hours upon end. From the 3 different story arcs, the multiple endings, the interesting characters, and the fishing minigame. And yes, all good RPGs have a fishing minigame. Kidding aside though, I love these games, but the multiple glitches, tedious missions, and lack of compelling atmosphere is what kept Darksiders from beating Nier. Again, if you haven't played one of these games, do yourself a favor and pick these up. One, because Darksiders 2 is priced at like pocket change now. So, thank you for tuning in again to VGEN. If you disagree with me, please comment in the comment below. I want to hear your reasons. In addition, I like seeing a good conversation or debate go down. All my friends know this. In addition, though, consider subscribing, liking our video, or favoriting. If you have any ideas for us, please comment below. We're always up for taking new ideas. So, thank you again for tuning in to VGEN.